This is News Radio Africa, bringing you the latest news briefs from across Africa. Greetings to Africa and to all throughout the diaspora and to every nation from continent to continent. Give us 15 minutes each day and we will bring you Africa's awakening. In a recent op-ed published by the Africa Report, Ghanaian President John Mahama strongly criticized U.S. President Donald Trump's claims of a white genocide occurring in South Africa. Mahama described these allegations as an insult to all Africans and a dangerous distortion of historical truth. The op-ed was prompted by a recent meeting at the White House between Trump and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, during which Trump presented images purportedly showing mass graves of white South Africans. Mahama noted that some of these images were misrepresented and not even from South Africa, highlighting the use of misinformation to undermine South Africa's democratic progress. Mahama emphasized the importance of preserving historical memory, referencing events such as the 1960 Sharpeville massacre and the 1976 Soweto uprising to illustrate the deep scars left by apartheid. He warned that false narratives like Trump's allegations threaten to erase these painful histories and the progress made since. Furthermore, Mahama highlighted the ongoing economic disparities in South Africa, where white South Africans, comprising less than 10% of the population, control over 70% of the nation's wealth. He pointed to the existence of racially exclusive communities like Kleinfontein as evidence of apartheid's lingering legacy. Concluding his op-ed, Mahama called for a united African response to such distortions of history, urging the international community to focus on real crises facing the continent, such as child labor in Congo's mines and sexual violence in Sudan. He stressed that Africa's past cannot be erased, and its future must be built on truth and unity.
From Zambia's news, in a bold and unprecedented move, Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema is demanding visa-fee refunds from European countries, calling out what many African nations have long suspected, that visa systems are rigged against African applicants. While Europeans enjoy visa-free travel across much of Africa, Africans face sky-high rejection rates, endless paperwork, and non-refundable fees, even when they meet all requirements. Same forms, same fees, but if you're from Africa, your chances of being denied soar, often without explanation. This isn't just inefficiency. Critics say it's economic gatekeeping disguised as security. Zambia's stance isn't just about fairness, it's about power. Africa is home to booming markets, strategic minerals like cobalt and lithium, and a young, ambitious population. And now leaders are starting to rethink the rules of engagement. The message is clear. If Europe won't open its doors, Africa might close its own to diplomats, tourists, and investors. Some are already proposing reciprocal visa policies and quotas for Westerners. This marks a shift from silent compliance to active resistance. For decades, Africa played fair while being treated as a risk. Now, the continent is reclaiming its diplomatic dignity, and the world is being forced to listen. This is more than a refund. This is the start of a global reckoning.
Uganda cuts military ties with Germany in a bold shift toward African sovereignty. In a move shaking the African continent and international corridors alike, Uganda has officially severed its military ties with Germany. President Yoweri Museveni says it's a step toward true sovereignty, joining a growing bloc of African nations rejecting Western military influence. The decision echoes a broader wave sweeping across Africa, from Burkina Faso to Mali to Niger, where leaders like Captain Ibrahim Traoré are expelling foreign troops and replacing dependency with self-reliance. Museveni, one of Africa's most seasoned leaders, has long balanced cooperation with caution. Now, he's made it clear. Partnerships with strings are no longer acceptable. For years, Western advisors shaped African military strategies behind the scenes. But Uganda says that era is over. The influence Germany held through training and communication programs is being dismantled. Instead, Uganda is turning toward its neighbors, Tanzania, Rwanda, and the DRC, strengthening regional defense ties through the East African community. Analysts call it a new Pan-African shield, a decentralized but united effort to reclaim control over security, narrative, and national destiny. Museveni's move is not isolationist, it's a declaration. Africa will no longer wait for foreign approval to defend itself or define its future. With Western troops exiting and regional alliances strengthening, one thing is clear. The balance of power on the continent is shifting on African terms.
US-Tanzania. Diplomatic tensions rise. A diplomatic storm is brewing between the United States and Tanzania after Washington condemned the alleged mistreatment of two regional activists, one Ugandan, one Kenyan. The US Senate has warned the case threatens regional stability and American interests. But Tanzania is pushing back, accusing Washington of political interference. Tanzanian authorities insist the arrests were legal and tied to national security. But critics accuse the US of selective outrage, staying silent on issues like civilian deaths in Gaza or resource exploitation in Congo, while reacting strongly when African governments act against foreign-linked activism. The case has spotlighted British-based lawyer Robert Amsterdam, known for representing African opposition figures. Tanzanian officials argue his involvement reflects a deeper agenda, political influence disguised as human rights work. Experts warn of rising lawfare, using courts, media, and NGOs to reshape political outcomes. Tanzania frames this as part of a wider neo-colonial strategy, one that undermines sovereignty through soft power tools like aid, advocacy, and international courts. Tanzania says it isn't rejecting democracy, it's reclaiming the right to define it for itself. As tensions grow, the world must ask, is this a fight for justice or a battle for control?
Burkina Faso's strategic pivot to Russia. In a quiet but sweeping transformation, Burkina Faso is undergoing one of the most dramatic geopolitical realignments in modern African history. Following a covert agreement with Moscow, the West African nation is restructuring its military, economy, and digital infrastructure, all under the influence of Russia. Since President Ibrahim Traoré's return from Russia, Russian advisors, equipment, and training programs have flooded the country. Military convoys now bring Russian-made weapons, body armor, and encrypted systems. Russian instructors are embedded in military bases, overhauling command structures and training soldiers in hybrid warfare modeled after Moscow's own doctrine. But this shift goes beyond the battlefield. Intelligence networks are being rewired through Russian servers. Satellite surveillance and space-linked security systems now provide Burkina Faso with real-time border control and threat detection, once dependent on French and US intelligence. At the center of it all is Wagner, Russia's paramilitary group, now repackaged as military consultants. They're securing mines, influencing politics, and helping suppress dissent, all while shielding Traoré's government from foreign scrutiny. Economically, Russia is investing in agriculture, mining, and trade infrastructure to make Burkina Faso self-reliant. With new seed technologies, local processing plants, and proposed gold refineries, The country aims to reclaim its wealth and food sovereignty. Western powers, once dominant, are now sidelined. Their embassies are quiet, their influence fading. Traoré's pivot east has created not just a new alliance, but a new narrative of African sovereignty. Burkina Faso is no longer asking for permission, it's building its own future, with Russia at its side.
Africa's rising rebels, Kagame, Arikana, and Traoré, challenge the West. A powerful shift is underway across Africa, and it's shaking Western institutions to their core. From Rwanda to Burkina Faso, a bold trio of leaders is rewriting the rules of engagement with former colonial powers. Their names, Paul Kagame, Dr. Arikana Chihombori Kwao, and Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Rwandan President Paul Kagame ignited the fire, publicly calling Western aid to Africa a political weapon disguised as generosity. He accused donors of using aid not to uplift, but to control, tying critical funds to political obedience. Then came Dr. Arikana, the former African Union ambassador to the US, who exposed what she called modern-day colonization, secret contracts, unfair trade deals, and coercion hidden behind development rhetoric. Her message? Africa's wealth is being signed away, not stolen. And from Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré is putting words into action. He's expelled French troops, shut down foreign media, and aligned with other Sahel nations to build a sovereign Pan-African security alliance. His goal isn't reform, it's revolution. These three voices, diplomatic, legal, and militant, are converging into a rising movement. They reject dependency, demand economic and political independence, and rally a generation eager for change. Together, they're not just defying Western influence, they're building a new African order. The question now is, who will follow? And can the West stop a movement whose time has come?
In other news, Guinea's bold mining revolution reshapes Africa's future. In a stunning move, Guinea has revoked 46 mining licenses overnight, without warning or compensation. The action wasn't chaotic, but calculated. A silent and sweeping strike against decades of dormant deals and foreign control over the country's mineral wealth. Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya's government says the licenses were held by firms, some obscure, some global, who barely used the land, hoarding mineral rights while Guinea remained poor. The message: resources must serve the people, not sit in limbo, waiting for foreign profit. This isn't just about mining. It's a declaration of economic independence. Guinea is now rewriting its rules. No more extraction without transformation. Investors must now process minerals on Guinean soil, building refineries, training locals, and generating real jobs. The country is aligning with nations like Burkina Faso and Mali, creating a new Pan-African resource doctrine. China, Russia, Turkey, and Brazil are stepping in, offering industrial partnerships without Western strings attached. Guinea is no longer for sale, says Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, but the stakes are high. Multinationals are pushing back, legal battles loom, and Western media warns of investor risk. Still, Doumbouya remains defiant, betting on domestic support and regional solidarity. If Guinea succeeds, turning raw bauxite into refined aluminum and contracts into factories, it may just spark a continental shift. The question now is, if Guinea rises, who follows?
In Togo's news, mining freeze signals new era of African sovereignty. In a bold and unexpected move, Togo has suspended all new mining permits, a dramatic step toward reclaiming control of its natural resources. The announcement comes just days after signaling interest in joining the AES, the revolutionary alliance of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger that is rewriting West Africa's geopolitical playbook. Togo's government calls this a strategic pause, Not just a regulatory update, but a declaration of economic sovereignty. The goal: overhaul outdated mining laws, stop foreign exploitation, and ensure minerals like phosphate and gold serve the Togolese people, not just multinational profits. Inspired by leaders like Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, Togo is following a rising tide of African nations revoking foreign licenses, nationalizing mines, and reinvesting revenues into schools, roads, and healthcare. Burkina Faso and Niger have already seen booming returns, and now Togo wants in. Africa first, our country first, says Togo's foreign minister. But this isn't just about mining. It's about shifting power. If Togo joins AES, it gives the landlocked alliance access to the sea through the port of Lomé, disrupting trade routes and weakening ECOWAS, the West African bloc many now view as a puppet of foreign interests. Togo's pause may be temporary, but the message is permanent. Africa is done waiting for permission. With AES expanding and Western companies losing ground, the continent's resource revolution is no longer a whisper, it's a roar.
News report from Namibia. In a stunning move that's sending shockwaves through global energy markets, Namibia has officially terminated its oil and gas contract with the United States and ordered an immediate halt to all American mining operations on its soil. The Namibian government says it's taking bold steps to reclaim full control over its natural resources, starting with oil, gas, and mineral extraction. This announcement marks a clear pivot towards state ownership and national self-determination. Our resources must serve the people of Namibia. We will no longer allow foreign companies to dominate what belongs to us, says Namibian official. This decision is part of a broader policy shift to ensure that profits from Namibia's rich natural reserves are reinvested back into the nation, rather than exported abroad. Officials say future development will prioritize national interest, not foreign shareholders. Analysts suggest this could spark a wave of similar moves across resource-rich African nations seeking to break free from decades of foreign dependency. As global investors scramble to assess the fallout, Namibia is making one thing clear: the era of foreign dominance is over, and the age of African sovereignty has begun.
Burkina Faso declares all land state-owned. In a historic and unprecedented move, Burkina Faso has nationalized every inch of its land permanently. From cities to forests, villages to mineral zones, the land is now owned by the state, held in trust for its people. No foreigner will ever again be able to buy land in the country. President Ibrahim Traoré signed the sweeping law quietly. No cameras, no speeches, but its impact is thunderous. Foreign developers, locked out. Local elites who once hoarded land, stripped of privilege. From now on, access to land comes not through wealth, but citizenship, through belonging. Traoré's government says this isn't anti-growth, it's anti-greed. It's a move to stop exploitation and reset the rules. Leases may still be offered to investors, short-term or up to 99 years for strategic projects. But ownership? That door is shut, for good. The reform doesn't just block foreign access, it empowers the people. Land is now being redistributed to small farmers, women's cooperatives, and the youth. Programs include irrigation support, climate-smart agriculture, and state-backed farming. It's not symbolic, it's systemic. Local businesses are now prioritized in food production and processing, replacing dependency on foreign imports. The goal? Grow, process, and feed Burkina Faso first. Critics call it reckless. The government calls it healing. As more African nations watch closely, one thing is clear. Burkina Faso isn't just reclaiming land, it's reclaiming a future. And the world, it may never be the same.
That is it for today. Check back here Monday through Friday for the latest updates and news briefs beyond the headlines on Africa's awakening. If you like this new platform, please hit the like button and subscribe to this new channel. Check back with us tomorrow. Until then, God bless.